नमस्कार आर के त्यागी। ओम सच्ची जनवानी नमे चैनल पर आपका स्वागत है। वार्मली कोर्डियली वेलकम। प्लीज़ सब्सक्राइब यूट्यूब चैनल एज मच एज पॉसिबल। सब्सक्राइब माय यूट्यूब चैनल ओम सच्ची जनवानी नमे एंड शेयर द वीडियो एज मच एज पॉसिबल टू मोबिलाइज रिटायरी फ्रेंड्स and video to be propagated and shared to all sections of society, all sections of political parties and to government and to public at large। ये सर्कुलर है आईबा पार्क का, ऑल इंडिया बैंक पेंशनर्स एंड रिटायरीज कन्फेडरेशन। सर्कुलर नंबर 11-24, डेट फरवरी 1824, आज का ही है। फॉर सर्कुलेशन अमंग मेंबर्स ऑफ गवर्निंग काउंसिल, स्टेट सेक्रेटरीट्स, स्पेशल इन्वाइटीज, एडवाइजर्स, एफिलिएट्स, कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स ऑफ CBPRO and members। Dear comrade, subject updation of pension to bank pensioners, 30 years of waiting and still hoping for justice। तो ये आगे इन्होंने लिखा भी, reproduce here under the text of our letter written on 17th February 24 to the Honorable Union Finance Minister Government of India on the above mentioned subject। This is for information to members with best wishes and regards, comradely और सुप्रीत सरकार जनरल सेक्रेटरी। और आईबा पार्क FM पेंशन अपडेशन एंड ईमेल 2024 डेटेड फरवरी 17 2024। ये सर ये है वो जो उन्होंने लिखा है मैडम को, ये लिखा है श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमन जी, ऑनरेबल यूनियन फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया न्यू दिल्ली। रेस्पेक्टेड मैडम, updation of pension to bank pensioners, 30 years of waiting and still hoping for justice, you are our hope। Respected madam, your concern for bank pensioners and retirees issues was well articulated by none other than yourself while addressing the managing director and Chief Executive Officers of the banks in 73rd AGM of Indian Banks Association in 2021। You very emotionally and unequivocally exhorted and enlightened the managing directors and enlightened the banks as their own family members and resolve their long pending issues। The banks, pensioners and retirees wholeheartedly hailed your good self for the kind concern you exhibited in your address। अच्छा, ये था एक चीज़ था इसमें, वेरी इमोशनली, उसमें था ना वो इन्होंने जो एजीएम में भाषण दिया था उसमें कहा था वेरी इमोशनली एंड अनइक्विवोकली exhorted the enlightened the managing directors and CEOs of banks that they need to treat ex-employees of the banks as their own family members and resolve their long pending issues। ये था। तो आगे कहते हैं we may kindly be excused for these long submissions but we request you to appreciate the compelling reasons to make this elaborate representation as the issue is still eluding resolutions। Subsequently, when you gave us an audience in the month of October 22, your good self emphatically reiterated your sincere concern that the bank pensioners issue should get resolved and is made IBA to call us to discuss the issue. We also very gratefully thank your good self for giving us another opportunity to meet you on 19 June 23 to further submit the progress made on issue. Your good self helped the very old pensioners to get 100% DA neutralization benefit. But as regards the main issue of pension updation, which is pending for more than 30 years, the IBA, though discussed the same with us, showing all concerns, but categorically told us that they would not make a U-turn as they had earlier taken a position in the courts that there was no provision for updation for pension in the Bank Employees Pension Regulation 1995. Such a peculiar position by IBA not only shows an oblivion to Pension Regulation 35(1), which provides for updation, but their contention were contrary to the provision of updation contained in Banks Pension Regulations 1995 as under Regulation 35(1). Basic pension and additional pension, wherever applicable, shall be updated as per the formally given in Appendix 1 as amended in March 2003 and notified in Union Gazette of India number 1. IBA also gave a lame and blatant excuse that the matter is pending before the Honorable Supreme Court and hence it is sub judice. It is a well-established legal convention that out of court resolution of any issue through mutual settlement is always appreciated and welcomed. Respected Madam, it is pertinent to submit it that honorable courts have not passed any interim injunction in the matter of updation of pension. Under such circumstances, if the contending parties mutually resolve the issue of pension updation, the pending cases shall become infructuous, putting an end to the agony of the petitioners as well as the respondents. This position is very well known to IBA too. Such a display of fairness we expected from IBA, but unfortunately the IBA choose not only to disregard the rightful request of 7.60 lakh senior citizens of the banking industry who enormously contributed for the socio-economic development of the nation and its people, but in the same breath ignored your well-intended message to them as to how they should treat their ex-employees. Number 2. What is more dangerous is the continuous and constant attempt by IBA to mislead your good self and your ministry by not telling the truth about the legal validity of our request for updation of pension as provided in Pension Regulation 35(1) as mentioned here in before. It is on innumerable occasions that IBA drafted replies to stirred and unstirred questions raised in Parliament, which were also far from truth and undermined the legality of pension regulations, thus demonstrating a callous and cynical disregard to the provision contained in subordinate legislations that is Bank Employees Pension Regulations 1995. Third, IBA's scheme of hiding the facts about 30 years long pending issues of updation of pension from your good self and your predecessors is inexplicable and arrogantly sadistic to say the least. We are not able to fathom the motives of IBA in so blatantly misleading all concerned, including the Honorable Parliament, on the issue of updation of pension. We often feel that IBA enjoys unwritten immunity for all the wrongs doing they have been indulging in on our impeding updation of pension. We very painfully gather an impression that the members of management committee of IBA and executives of IBA are more determined to protect and drag the issue, perpetually treating 7.6 lakhs of bank pensioners and retirees as no consequence in view of IBA, and unfortunately even the UFBU, the bank pensioners can be discriminated, condemned and happily ignored with impunity. Otherwise, what can be the reason for IBA not to resolve the most important issue of pension updation for more than 30 years from 1992 and continue to engage in falsehood, disinformation and misinformation about the legally entitled pension updation? Number 4 है the fallacy of IBA misadventure of forcing bank pensioners to approach honorable courts can be understood by the fact that IBA lost all the cases filed by the individuals bank pensioners except one of that is 100% DA neutralization case. Even here the IBA should do lot of soul searching for denying 100% DA neutralization benefit to more than 1 lakh pensioners who waited for 20 years and left the world without getting justice. Though the 8th BPS settlement 2005 now here segregated pensioners as pre-November 2 and post 2002. It was only due to your good self-intervention the fortunate surviving pensioners got the benefit now. We profusely thank you for that kind-hearted gesture. Hence, with all humility, we bring before your good self briefly once again the following points. Number 1. Pension was agreed by way of settlement in 1993 as second benefit only like government and RBI, same lines as that of government and RBI pensioners. Number 2. Accordingly, दोबारा इसको पढ़ देता हूँ. फर्स्ट था इसमें पेंशन वाज एग्रीड बाय वे ऑफ सेटलमेंट इन 1993 एज सेकंड बेनिफिट ओनली लाइक गवर्नमेंट एंड आरबीआई pensioners as against the demand of third benefit by bank employee and others and officers. Number 2. Accordingly, pension optees were made to surrender their contributory provident fund with the interest on the same lines as the government and RBI pensioners. Number 3. When the late Sri R.N. Godbole, the former General Secretary of AIBPARC All India Bank Officers Confederation, wrote to IBA in 1993-1994 asking for some improvement in the pension scheme, IBA refused to make any improvement, categorically stating in writing that the pension scheme in the banks was exactly on the lines of government and RBI pension scheme, and further improvements in bank pension scheme could be entertained as a corollary to this quarterly DA compensation which was available to us while in service was made half yearly as applicable to government pensioners. Number 4. Bank pensioners scheme is a defined benefit pension scheme as available to government and RBI pensioners, and it is commonly known as old pension scheme. Those who are recruited after April 2010 are not covered under the old pension scheme. They are governed under new pension scheme, so the pension fund is exclusively for the pensioners recruited before April 2010. Number 5. If for government pensioners the pension is paid out of government budget, similarly for RBI and banks it is paid off pension fund created with the surrendered CPF pension optees, and should any shortfall arise after the annual actuarial estimation, the banks are statutorily required to make good the shortfall, charging the same to bank's profit and loss account as a mandatory revenue expenses. 6th, the present balance in the pension fund including SBI is above hoping to 4 lakh crores, and the total payout of annual pension is for less than the inflow into the pension funds by way of annual yield and annual contribution by the banks are as per statutory regulations. Number 7th, in view of the robust pension fund, provision of updation should have been a known issue. The IBA is unnecessarily scaring the banks and the government with their unsubstantiated additional astronomical provision figures. It may be appreciated that the pension funds can sustain the annual cost of pension updation without any additional provisioning. IBA DFS lack transparency while denying to notify the updation formula in Appendix 1 to Pension Regulation 35(1) for the bank pensioners as done in RBI and NABARD pensioners. We have submitted bank-wise annual cost calculations of the pension updation to IBA DFS and also to the negotiating unions. As per our calculations, updation of pension on RBI lines would not hit the balance sheet of banks. The IBA should have reverted to us if they find anything wanting in our calculations, but they chose to keep our calculations under the carpet and drag on the issue by mysterious asserting that there is no provision for updation of pension when the regulation is there in black and white, and that the matter is sub judice. Number 8, the IBA was asked by the apex court to submit the report of the committee constituted by IBA to examine the issue of pension updation as early as January 22. The IBA dodged even the Honorable Supreme Court, first asking for more time, stating that the chairman of the committee superannuated, though his term of office was extended as chairman of the Premier Bank PNB. For this purpose, the issue remained unresolved, though the committee was later reconstituted. Till date, the report of the committee to examine the issue of the pension updation is not in public domain, including petitioners or the pleading parties. The IBA simply submitted to the Honorable Court that the committee has decided not to extend the benefit of updation. 9th, the IBA has been maintaining that it is not a registered body and not amenable to any writ petition nor obliged to give reply under RTI Act. This stand of IBA cannot be legitimize their legitimate actions of reducing the bank pensioners and retirees into mere helpless lot. The human and legitimate approach of the NDA government to all sections of society except bank pensioners has been commendable. We feel lesser fortunate in this regard. 10th, the pension settlement regulations are clear about updation of pension to RBI and bank pensioners. Number 11, judicial pronouncements by the Honorable Supreme Court are there upholding updation of pension by ruling that wage revision and pension revision are inseparable, and also held that pension is not a bounty but a deferred wage. Still, why IBA through its member banks has been trying to challenge the petitioners. Some such petitioners, including the main petitioner Sri MC Singhlaji, have left the world without getting justice, that are financially weak, physically frail, and lack other resources as against the mighty banks, thus making fight among the unequals. The IBA and the bank management should introspect and do the course correction to translate pension regulation 35(1) into reality by implementing it without further loss of time. They only need to notify the pension updation formally as per Appendix 1 to Regulation 35(1) on RBI pattern. 12th, though MOU between IBA and AIBU signed on the 7th December 23, there is no alacrity on the part of IBA UABU except mentioning in paragraphs 5 that without prejudice to the demand of updation of pension by unions and associations, it is agreed to give ex gratia to the pensioners who retired up to 31st October 22, and it shall be payable during the term of only this settlement. Without attracting DA, we fail to understand the purpose of agreeing to pay unspecified ex gratia that is not provided in banks, employees, pension regulations, or even in central government pension and commutation rules and RBI pension regulations in such an unscientific manner. It appears malicious and sheer procrastinations of legitimate right of 7.6 lakh bank retirees, bank pensioners, which is well documented under Regulation 35(1). Respected Madam, to make the IBA make amendments and display sensitivity and not such a blatant disregard to 7.6 lakh bank pensioners and retirees cry for justice for then 30 years, also to make them respect your concerns for bank pensioners and retirees, and more importantly to make IBA to declare and demonstrate the avowed objectives of good governance of the popular government, the coordination of the bank pensioners and retirees organizations CBPRO, consisting of all apex level bank pensioners and retirees organizations, has given a call for a national dharna at Jantar Mantar on 22nd February 2024, where many aged bank pensioners from across the country, despite distance, cold weather in Delhi and age-related health problems, are determined to undertake long travels to participate in the dharna with an intent to awaken the conscience of IBA. Respected Madam, as we submitted in the begging of the letter, we wish to conclude this letter to very sincerely affirming you are our ultimate hope. With kind regards, yours sincerely, K.V. Acharya, President AIBPARC and Joint Convener CBPRO, सुप्रीत सरकार, जनरल सेक्रेटरी। तो ये था वो पत्र। धन्यवाद साथियों। नमन, आर के त्यागी। थैंक्स।